The following is meant for entertainment and educational purposes. It is not meant to establish a doctor-patient relationship. Please consult your mental health provider for your mental health needs. Hello, welcome to Chez Eric, my home, where we talk about psychiatry and religion with a focus on how to apply it to your life. And today we will be finishing the gigantic 8-part series on lectures 4 and 5 of William James's Varieties of Religious Experience. And here we're talking about healthy-mindedness, and it's been quite a journey. I tried to summarize multiple times with these videos, and I keep needing to delete it because the summary is really hard, but I'll try again here. Summary is we learned about healthy-mindedness, and we learned about what it is, that it ignores all bad things and only accepts good things. And then we talked about, an example of Walt Whitman as a person who's healthy-minded. And then we talked about Mindcure movement and how it actually applies to us and the nature of the Mindcure movement. And then we talked about how that actually applies to religions of nowadays and religious beliefs. And then we talked about the idea of surrender, which is kind of inherent with the Mindcure movement. And that's where we left off last time. This time, we'll continue, and hopefully we'll talk about something very, very interesting, really kind of reveal a very interesting aspect of what we're trying to get at, religious experience. So, where are we? The Mindcure movement is generally a suggestive movement. It talks about the power of the ideas over your behaviors and beliefs. That's what William James points out. So this is what's really, really interesting. Cognitive behavioral therapy, and we finally get to incorporate, psychiatry or psychology really integrally here right now. Cognitive behavioral therapy actually has that belief that your behaviors are affected by your behaviors affect the environment, which then affects your experiences, which affects your thoughts, which affects your behaviors. And you can break that by changing your behaviors to change your environment and then change your thoughts. And that there is a connection between your thoughts and your behaviors such that it actually has an impact on the events of your life, which then impacts the quality of your life. So this is a thing, a concept that actually pervades a lot of psychology, and notably positive psychology, and that's part of the Mindcure movements. So how does this all work? Well, we're going to keep it narrow, right, with the idea of religion, all right, relating Mindcure to religion, but to say that this is actually goes broader than that. But we have to kind of keep it tight if you don't mind. The Mindcures do have this idea of the power of suggestion. And as a result, people might say religion doesn't exist because it's all just the power of suggestion. Look at how powerful CBT is. Religion is just another form of CBT when I'm asked to reframe a lot of concepts. Because I'm suffering for God, therefore I'm reframing it, I'm not really suffering anymore. That is just psychology, therefore religion doesn't exist. That is kind of one way to look at it. But I think we're a little bit too premature with that. You see, in order for an idea to be suggestive, William James says it has to come from revelation. What does that mean? Well, revelation is something that's revealed to us in some sort of meditative state. And that often comes from what he says, often comes from faith and pondering. And if the Mindcure movement were to catch on, right, the suggestive nature would be lost if not for having these inner struggles that you need in a sort of a religious nature that can create that revelation, right? And therefore, this idea of the faith and pondering is very similar to this idea of meditation or the idea of mindfulness or the idea of praying. And for him, he was using the example of the idea of the Catholic of recollection, right? And then what is the difference between meditation and prayer? I have that in a previous sort of video. And so when you get into this state of getting revelation, to have your mind and your thoughts be suggestive, that's essentially what he's saying, a union with a divine, which becomes, again, a religious experience. Regardless of whether or not you believe it's a religious experience, it is actually interacting with a divine. That's what William James would say. And so then comes the, not conflict per se, but what's the word I'm looking for? Not integration either, but the interaction between Mindcure and science. You see, Mindcure provides a method of verification that if you try Mindcure, if you try changing your thoughts and it works, it's great. But science may say that in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't work. If you look at the statistics, Mindcure doesn't work. But as far as the person who's actually doing Mindcure, if it works for them, that's all the evidence that they need. If they healed from Mindcure, if they became invigorated from Mindcure, if they simply just switched something, a train of thought from Mindcure, that's good enough for them and they will always be a believer. Because how can science tell someone to ignore their experience? And let's look a little bit broader. How can science tell someone to ignore their religious experience or an experience with the divine? It can't. And that's kind of the nature of this conflict or this interaction with science and religion. And we are actually all just made up of our experiences. And science certainly provides a very good insight into what's happening in the world, into reality. But to the extent that it can actually influence our experiences, that's why we have a lot of situations where people are very ingrained in things, even if science says otherwise. Say climate change deniers or anti-vaxxers or stuff like that. There's science that exists and people would just say because of some experience that they had that's very meaningful to them. But then William James kind of points out that what is truly important here? Why do we need science to explain to us that something doesn't exist or something doesn't help, when in actuality it has helped individual people and that they just simply want to adopt that system of understanding the world? William James would say many systems can exist in the same space because we all have different perspectives on life. We all have different experiences, and they can exist at the same time concurrently, even though they might not be the same. And that's where religion and science can be verified in its own different way. And that's William James's perspective. I don't take that perspective exactly, although I do think he makes a very good point. I do believe that there's a way to incorporate a scientific method to understand reality as a means to understand religion more. But we're going to have to get deeper into this to really unpack that. But that is an interesting, concept of how the relationship between science and religion and the relationship between statistics and the individual. And that when we say, oh, so-and-so is a sham, is it a sham to the individual that experiences benefits from it? And is it okay for someone to believe in something when they actually receive a very good benefit from it? And what are the harms of that? Are there harms to doing that? Especially if Mindcure is known to be in denial of a lot of things and ignore a lot of possible realities of the world, possible evils of the world. So that concludes William James's Varieties of Religious Experience, lectures 4 and 5 on on Healthy-Mindedness. And we will then now go into the sixth soul in the next lecture. And that's going to be really cool, I hope. I hope you're enjoying this. Do like and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think about, everything. And let me know everything. I want to hear from you. All right. So thank you very much also for watching. Thank you very much for watching all the way through to the end. If you watched it through to the end, if you watched the Freud series too, wow, you're a trooper. Thank you very much. And I hope you're getting a lot out of this. And I will see you next time. Hello. So the truth is that 10-minute videos can only really get you so far. And I really want to help you understand how psychiatry and religion can really improve your life. And I really want to go deeper. However, that can take many forms. It can be in a book, still in progress. It can be an app possibly, or maybe a club or a workshop or a webinar of some sort. It could be educational videos, or it could even be offering my own psychiatric services. As I thought about all these ideas, I definitely want to create this giant empire of some sort to help people understand how psychiatry and religion can help their life. But I learned that all of these things require a significant amount of time and investment to do it right, to get it, done correctly. So I was thinking about which one I should start with, but then I realized, hey, why don't I just ask you? What do you think? I'd like to know. What are you looking for? How can I help you? What type of service or product would you be most interested in? Let me know in the comments, or you can always find my email or message me privately. I would love to hear from you. So yeah, help me out. Let me know what you think would be best to start off with, and that would be really helpful. I'll talk to you later.